Hi, everybody. So here we are for our next session, which is blogging and email marketing for the modern travel advisor. And so let's get started. There's so much that goes into blogging and email marketing that I've really tried to cover the basics and give some actionable steps that both very beginners and seasoned professionals would learn from. And before we move forward, I really quickly wanted to say that, I'm well aware of what's happening in the world. No one is traveling, and in a lot of places, no one is even allowed to travel. And so when I'm talking about marketing your business and your services, this, isn't an instant solution. And I'm not going to say that any of these tips are going to make you sales today, but blogging, marketing, and setting up a business in general takes time. So from a marketing standpoint, right now is a great time to set up these systems because the travel industry will bounce back. And when it does, you will have people who have been stuck in the house for weeks that really need a vacation. And they will be able to find your site because you've been using the techniques I'm going to talk about today and will be ready to convert them to clients. And so today we are going to cover how to get readers to your site, how to convert readers into paying clients, an intro to email marketing, email service providers, email marketing strategies, and how Kinship vacations can help. And so first, a little bit about me so that you can kind of understand why I'm here talking to you about this. I am Mackenzie Jervis, a travel blogger and writer currently living in Japan, where my husband is stationed with the Air Force. We moved around quite a bit, and we were just in Texas before we moved here in September. Before that, we were in New Mexico, and I've personally also lived in the Czech Republic and all over the Northeast. We're originally from upstate New York, and I spent quite a bit of time traveling, which is kind of how I came to write about travel. I am the creator of A Wandering Scribbler & Co., where I share my experiences traveling with two small kids. I have a 2-year-old and a 12-month-old. And I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Peregrine Kinship travel blog, which is a collection of travel advisors sharing about life, travel, and beyond. And so with that, we'll move into why travel advisors need a blog. And so we're going to go back a little bit to our last summit where we talked more in depth about blogging itself. So if you want to start at the beginning of that, head over to our videos from our last summit so you can rewatch my presentation. But very quickly to summarize, blogging is an affordable way for you to market your business. You want a blog to show your expertise in a given niche, to create a community of dedicated readers and clients, and to help drive conversions. Blogging is a form of inbound marketing, and using inbound marketing like SEO or search engine optimization has a 14.6% close rate, while outbound leads from mail or print advertising only has a 1.7% close rate. That's mostly because blogging helps to answer questions travelers are currently having, like where to travel during summer break, and converts readers who are actively looking for our services, rather than wasting time sending flyers or ads to those who aren't ready to travel at the moment. So to actually get people to your site, you have to implement a few SEO tactics. SEO will help to get your writing and your page in front of readers who are interested in your work. And SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and it is the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your site through organic search engine results. And on the screen, you can see a little graphic of the organic results versus the paid results. And so how does SEO work? Google or any other search engine that you're using has a crawler that goes out and gathers information about all of the content they can find on the internet. And so that's every website, blog post, image, video, meme, whatever it is, and the crawler brings all of those ones and zeros back to the search engine to build an index. And that index is then fed through an algorithm that tries to match all of the data with the question that people are searching. And so that's the SE, the search engine of SEO. And the O part is optimization. And that's where, people who write all of the content, like us, need to put into their sites to tweak it so that search engines will be able to understand what it is that they're seeing and bring it to the users that need these answers. And optimization can take many forms. Neil Patel says that there are over 200 ranking factors that Google looks at when analyzing your site. And that can be really overwhelming because 200 is a lot to think about for every blog post. And so for the sake of time and, just not overwhelming everybody, we are going to talk about the top 5. And so those top 5 factors that affect SEO are, number 1, links. And that's links from other websites. And most importantly, it's high-ranking websites like, National Geographic or the New York Times, or even just really popular blogs that have been around longer than your website or get a lot of traffic. And that helps to show Google that you're important and that they should recommend your site to other readers. Number 2 is content. And Google wants you to produce fresh content consistently so it knows you're still active, which is why blogs and not just static websites are necessary. And it wants to make sure that your content matches up with what searches are actually looking for. So number 3 is headlines. And so headlines affect if people are interested in your information. So obviously if they search something and they don't immediately like your headline, they're not going to click on it. But it also affects your search engine ranking because if people aren't clicking on your link, Google notices that and will drop your ranking to show it to even less people. Number 4 is user experience. And so if your page doesn't load quickly enough, a user isn't going to want to stay around. And if your experience on your website is not up to par, Google will negatively affect your SEO because they want to obviously give the best experience to their searchers. And finally, number 5 is mobile friendliness. And Google has stated in the past that over 50% of searches come from mobile devices. And so, like user experience above, they want to make sure mobile users can actually read the results they're given. And so, as you can imagine, we could talk all day about how to get people to link to your website or how to make your website user-friendly and mobile-friendly. But for the sake of time and not overwhelming everybody, we're going to talk about optimizing your content of your blog posts, and specifically by using keywords. Target keywords are a word or phrase that best summarizes your page or your blog post. And this is what you hope people will search into a search engine to find your page. And this is really important for SEO because if you're not thinking about what people actually want to read or what they're curious about, or if you're not optimizing your post correctly, no one is going to be able to find your site. And so a target keyword can be as simple as the word travel or as specific as kid-friendly restaurants in Torino, Italy. And the more specific, the more likely you are to get in front of a reader's eyes because there is less competition. Because if you think about the word travel, it's so broad and websites have been talking about travel for years. And so it will be impossible to rank above those sites that Google has deemed the most important. Like, just think about travelchannel.com. So the best way to find keywords is to use Google AdWords, which I highly recommend getting an account with once you get your blog set up or even before, because you can use their keyword planner tool to pick a keyword based on monthly search volume. And the best keywords to target are ones that have a high search volume and low competition. And so I recommend choosing a keyword that gets at least 1,000 searches per month. But if you don't want to create an AdWords account, you can also just do a quick Google search with a keyword that you're looking for. And so look at the predictive text to help further narrow down your results. You can click an option and see the number of results for each of those searches. So like the example here, you can start typing in the topic you're writing about, and you see a list of what people are searching for. You can choose one that is a little more specific to have some less competition, but still be something that people are actively searching for. So just to look at this example here, there are 101 million results for best restaurants in Tokyo, but best restaurants in Tokyo with a view has 58 million, almost half as many results. And so this isn't a foolproof method, but it's a quick way to help give you an idea of how many options are in Google for a particular keyword, and to help narrow down your keyword and an entire post in general. Because the more specific you are, the more likely you are to land in front of a reader. And so let's say that we decide to use best restaurants in Tokyo with a view as our keyword. And so we'll want to use that keyword in our headline, in the post URL, sprinkled throughout the post, in the alt tags, which is basically the description of an image that you use, and in the meta description. And so one thing to look out for when adding your keyword into your post is sounding robotic. You've probably read blog posts where they repeat a keyword 75 times in a 400-word post. And so imagine reading a post and constantly seeing best restaurants in Tokyo with a view every other sentence. It would get really annoying. And not only that, but Google is making their algorithm more intuitive. And instead of ranking blog posts solely based on relevance, the ratio of keywords to overall words in a post, they're trying to recommend posts that will be most helpful. And so many people recommend using keywords naturally in your post, so it doesn't sound like a robot wrote it, and to slightly change the keyword as you would in natural speech. So our example keyword could be changed to restaurants with a view in Tokyo. And to help with all of this, if you run your blog on WordPress, I recommend using the Yoast SEO plugin as a way to help keep you on track of your SEO for each post. And so here on the screen, you can see a screenshot of the Yoast plugin on one of my posts. And this is something I do after I've written the post. I can enter the keyword into the plugin, and it helps me to not only make sure I'm ticking all of the SEO boxes, but also helps show what it might look like in a Google search. And this is really just a projection. The Yoast plugin doesn't actually get your article to rank in Google. It's just a way for you to make sure that you're following all of the SEO best practices and to see if your post is properly optimized. And it's also great because SEO tactics, change all the time, and I can just refer back to this plugin to see if there are any new additions rather than constantly needing to research the newest changes. And the plugin makes sure that the keyword, or key phrase as they call it in the plugin, is used properly in your post. But it also checks for things like optimal post length and internal and external links, which are also SEO factors. And the goal of the plugin is to get all of these little circles green, but sometimes that's impossible. And the red ones that you see here are just things that I don't want to change, either because it wouldn't make sense to the layout of the post, or it would be too robotic and not reader friendly. But you can see that the overall score is green, so you don't need to hit every single point for it to be optimized. The main things that you probably want to get green are the key phrase length. So you want a long and detailed keyword like we talked about earlier. The density of the keyword, which is how many times it's in the post. You don't want to just have the keyword one time in the post. You want to have it a couple of times. and the meta description, which is what the readers see when an article appears in Google. And you can see that on the screen. I've pointed it out there. And it needs to contain the key phrase and be the right length to fit within, that set limit, but also be descriptive enough to draw people in. So after you've written your post and optimize it for Google's algorithm, you can help to get your work in front of readers' eyes by promoting it. And of course, the first way to promote it is on social media. And here is a cool visual of when to share your post on social media. And the image is, a little bit older because it still has Google Plus on there, but it's still a good graphic to kind of visualize how often you should post or re-promote your content. And generally, the best sites to send traffic to your blog posts are Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn, but it can vary depending on your target reader. And so professionals tend to stick to LinkedIn, while younger crowds are on Twitter. And Instagram, while it's a great way to network and, perfect for travel bloggers and travel advisors to share beautiful photos, it's toward the bottom in terms of actually sending people to your blog, because you can't link in the description of your photos. And unless you have over 10,000 followers, you can't link, or do the swipe up in your stories. And so Insta users tend to not follow links of people unless they're very, very, very dedicated followers. And so it's hard to get people to your site if you're not very popular yet, because it takes a lot of work to get from Instagram over to your blog on behalf of the reader. And so for me personally, and for many bloggers, Pinterest is my number one social media site that sends actual traffic to my posts. And technically, it isn't even a social media site. It's a search engine like Google. So it employs all of the same SEO tactics that we talked about already. So if you only have time for one social media site, Pinterest is the place to put your energy. People are always on Pinterest to search for travel inspiration, travel tips, or advice. And so make a great pin and a catchy title, and you'll be bringing in thousands of readers a month. And the second way to promote your posts is by guest blogging. So guest blogging is where you actually go out to another website, another blog, and write for them. And usually this is unpaid. Maybe once in a while it's paid, but it's an effective way to help promote your own site. As a travel agent who, maybe doesn't have a blog yet, this is a great way to start writing and start a buzz around your business and your personal brand, and bring people over to the site once you are launched. And so writing for other people is a great way to showcase your expertise and just to get your name out to a broader market. And the third way is to use online forums to promote your work. And so forums like Quora or Reddit are places where you can find the major issues faced by travelers. And you can answer these questions and share links to your blog posts. So regular travelers know how to look online, and if a blog post or article with great information is available exclusively on your blog, it is bound to bring in a steady traffic. You just need to make sure that you're actually on these sites to help people and to not be spammy, because you'll definitely get called out if you're just trying to spam your link everywhere. So be genuinely helpful. And you'll have a lot of people that will thank you for that and will want to come to your site to see what you've got. And so finally, we are going to talk about how to convert readers into clients and, actually make you some money. The first thing to know is that you can't just turn any and every reader into a client. There are going to be people out there that just don't want to use your services, either because they can't travel, they want to do everything themselves, or they don't want to travel on the types of trips that you plan. And that's okay. The great thing about blogging and having a website set up is that people can come to your site, shop around, and leave without you wasting any energy. If you thought about your site like a brick and mortar business, those people might come in, ask a ton of questions where you show them catalogs or trips and talk about all their wants and needs, only for them to leave and never come back, and your time was kind of wasted. Your website is a way to weed through those that don't actually want to work with you and leave you with time for those that do. And so the first way to convert a reader into a client is by writing an article that appeals specifically to your ideal customer and no one else. And this helps to ensure that every person that reads your article has a higher likelihood of becoming a customer. So unless your primary goal is brand awareness, don't write articles for the general population. Write for a specific target audience, the one that you actually want to do business with. And so how do you identify what topics, are for your audience? And topics that are relevant to your audience are revealed in their questions and complaints. And so questions and complaints reveal the pain points, and a blog post that addresses someone's pain point is hard to resist reading. And a few places you can find, ideas for types of posts are on Quora. You can search for keywords related to your industry or expertise in Quora and look for the questions that people are asking that directly relate to your niche. You can look in social media groups. You can join, groups on Facebook that relate to your niche and look for the most active conversations that are happening inside of these groups. I tend to get a lot of ideas from family travel groups because that's what I tend to write about. And people are always asking questions about traveling with their kids, and it gives me some great ideas on topics for the future. You can look in TripAdvisor forums, and so read the reviews or forums on TripAdvisor to get a sense of what people struggle with when they travel. And obviously take this with a grain of salt because not all commenters are going to be your ideal customer, but it might spark some ideas to get you started. You can also look on other blogs' content. So spend some time on the blogs and websites of people in a similar niche to you and look for the blog posts that have a large number of comments and shares. And you can see what resonates with their readers and hope that it resonates with yours as well. And you can also get direct feedback from your customers or audience. And so if you already have an existing audience, like an email list or social media followers, or you have planned trips in the past, you can find out which topics they're interested in and by asking them. So send them a quick survey to ask them what topics they want to learn about, or just open it up for a discussion on your social media. And so for some customers, this is as far as you need to go. Your website, blog post, or your social media presence will be enough to make them reach out and start planning a trip. But for many other potential clients, they need a little more nurturing, either because they're not financially ready to travel at this moment, maybe their schedule isn't set yet, or maybe they're just not sure that you are the right one for them. And so this is why you need to get them to stick around. And so the second and possibly most important way to convert your readers into clients is to capture their email to make sure that they keep coming back. So in the real world, the majority of people that read your blog posts will leave your site and never return again, unless you get their email address. So once you've got someone's email address, you have a lead. And turning a casual reader into a lead is a critical step in converting them into a paying customer. And once someone is on your email list, you can communicate with them directly, continue to build a relationship with them, send more helpful content over time, and ultimately guide them through a sales process. And so there are a few ways that you can get a reader's email address, and we're going to go over that and how to convert them into a client through email marketing. And so that takes us into intro to email marketing. So to start from the very beginning, email marketing is the act of sending a commercial message using email. In its broadest sense, every email sent to a potential or current customer could be considered email marketing. It involves using email to send advertisements, request business, or solicit sales. As a customer, you're well aware of email marketing. You probably get emails, from Target showing you images of items you may or may not need to entice you to come in and shop. And while the purpose of email marketing is to promote products and services, it's also just not limited to that. You can use email marketing to develop relations with current customers or to reach out to potential customers. And email marketing allows businesses to keep their customers informed and to customize their marketing messages accordingly. So think of it as one of the most cost-effective and conversion-rich forms of digital marketing today. But why should email marketing be one of your top priorities? Because email is the number one communication channel. 99% of consumers check their email on a daily basis, and that can't be said of any other communication channel. The graphic on the screen shows that over 90% of people from age 15 to 65 plus are using email, and it's even higher in some demographics. And that can't be said of any other channel online or in the real world. There's no other channel that has that many consistent users across that many age demographics. Secondly, it's because you own your own list. On any social media platform, your account or any of your fans or any of your posts could be suspended or deleted at any time for no reason, without notice whatsoever. But you own your own email list, and no one can take those leads away from you. And the third reason is because email just converts better. People who buy products marketed through email spend 138% more than those who do not receive email offers. In fact, email marketing has an ROI of 4,400%. And if you're wondering if social media converts even better, it definitely doesn't. Email is simply the best way to make sales online. And so to get started in email marketing, you need people to email. And so you must capture people's emails. And there are a few ways to capture emails. One easy way is to use opt-in forms, but the better way is to use content upgrades to entice readers to give up their emails. And we'll go into both of those in more depth. So first, we'll talk about opt-in forms. And opt-in forms are a way to generate leads directly from your blog. However, using too many forms can potentially come across as spammy to readers. And good marketers don't position their opt-in forms in just any place on their website. Instead, they make them visible for their readers when they arrive at their website. And a few places where you can tactfully position your opt-in forms on your website include the header of your page. Typically, this would be an opt-in form for a standard newsletter. Like this example from the blogger Nomadic Matt. He has an opt-in form right on his homepage, and it's one of the first things that people see, and it really kind of catches your eye and draws you in. The second place is the footer of your article. You can also do it within the body of your article. So if your readers enjoy your content, then why not present them with an opportunity to have more? You can also do it in the sidebar, and that's one of the best places to put your opt-in form because the sidebar takes up approximately 1/3 of your page, and it kind of follows your blog post. And so this makes the opt-in form visible to your readers without distracting from the content of the article itself. You can also use a pop-up, and pop-ups are a great way to prompt readers to sign up. However, pop-ups that take up too much of the screen or don't have a clear way to exit without the reader giving up their email can be obnoxious, and it will kind of put a bad taste in the reader's mouth. So definitely use caution with them. And so by far the best way to capture emails is by using a content upgrade or something sometimes called a lead magnet. And a content upgrade is something awesome that you give away for free in exchange for an email address. And it doesn't have to cost you anything to create. Most lead magnets are digital materials like PDFs or MP3 files or videos that you can create yourself at a minimal or no cost. And they can be absolutely anything. Some popular lead magnets are ebooks, a cheat sheet with tips or resources, white papers or case studies, a webinar, free trials or samples, a checklist, a free quote or consultation, quizzes or a self-assessment, or even a coupon. And by offering a content upgrade that you created specifically for your blog post, you immediately increase the conversion rate of that blog post. But what makes a good content upgrade? So you already know that a lead magnet or content upgrade needs to provide value for free. But if you want your lead magnet to be highly effective, here are 5 criteria for you to consider. So number 1, it needs to be easily consumed. Lead magnets are only effective when the audience uses them. And so if you deliver a 300-page manifesto, you won't gain any traction. Number 2, they need to be actionable. So lead magnets need to provide an actionable tool, skill set, or useful information that your audience can apply. Number 3, they need to create noticeable improvement. So people continue to buy products and services if they work well. And so your lead magnet will become successful if it's as valuable as your products and services. So number 4, it needs to be relevant. If you've done your homework about your prospects, your ideal clients, you'll have no trouble coming up with a lead magnet that solves their problems. And number 5, it needs to be immediately available. So people love instant gratification in the world of, the internet. And so you need to give it to them right then and there. So now that you know the 2 ways that you can capture an email address, the best way is to, put them together and to use an opt-in form to convey the big benefits of your lead magnet. And so you need to create an opt-in form that converts. And so how to do that, you need to have the following components. So number 1, your opt-in form needs to have an enticing headline. So make sure your headline clearly describes the big benefit of your lead magnet. Number 2, it needs a helpful description. So is your description brief, clear, and to the point? So use bullet points to help the reader's eye quickly scan what they will get. Number 3, it needs attractive visuals. So include an image of the lead magnet if you can, like a mock-up of your ebook. A photo of a person looking towards the opt-in form is also a great way to boost conversions. Number 4 is a simple form. Don't ask too many questions, more than the first name and email address, because asking too much information too soon will kill your conversions. And number 5, a compelling subscribe button. So make sure to use a contrasting color for your subscribe button so that it really pops out on the page. And also use a non-generic email copy that compels people to click right away. So send me the 7 steps. And now we're going to talk about using an email service provider. So if you're new to email marketing, you might not know that there are services out there made specifically for email marketing. And so an ESP is essential for email marketing. There's really no other way to easily or effectively market without using one. So why do you need to use an ESP? And as I said above, it will make your life so much easier. If you've ever tried to send emails just from Google to a large group of people, it's a hassle. So not only will you be able to store and separate your email lists, but you'll be able to create content to send out, schedule it for a specific time and day, and generally make your business run much more smoothly. And so some other reasons to use an ESP are higher deliverability, because your typical email client like Gmail or Outlook is not built for email marketing. The message you send out may end up being labeled as spam by your internet service providers, so not even arriving into your recipients' spam folders, much less their inboxes. And so ESPs are whitelisted or approved by the internet service provider as a legitimate permission-based email delivery service. So ESPs they also offer easy methods to authenticate your email, which will prove to the internet service provider that you are who you say you are, a legitimate non-spammer sending emails to those who actually want to receive the information. So number 2, the comprehensive tracking and analytics. So most ESPs provide customers with comprehensive tracking for all of their email campaigns. So you can find out the number of people who opened your email, which links they clicked, and by who, and then the deliverability success, so you can track your subscribes and unsubscribes. Number 3 is list management. So trying to manually keep up all your data, it can add up really quickly, and it can be time consuming. So ESPs will store all of your subscriber details, so like their birthdays if you ask for that, and they can update them as you import. And so removing the duplicates, the unsubscribes, the invalid email addresses. And so bounce management is also included with most ESPs, automatically removing the hard bounces and soft bounces after you're sending out the emails and they keep coming back because the email address is no good. And number 4, the opt-in forms and landing pages. So after talking about opt-in forms, you might be wondering how to create one, and that is by using an ESP. And so how do we choose an email service provider? There are literally thousands of ESPs online, and that number is growing every day as more businesses rely on email marketing and more businesses are starting every day. So I'm going to quickly go through 5 of the top ESPs for small businesses. I have personally used 4 of them, and they all have their own learning curve and pros and cons and costs. So you'll have to decide which is best for you at the moment. So there's MailChimp, ConvertKit, Aweber, MailerLite, and GetResponse. And while all of these ESPs have pros and cons that you can kind of see I listed on the page here, I would definitely recommend using MailChimp as a beginner, or even if you already have a decent sized email list, because it's easy to set up, it's inexpensive, and depending on your size of your list, it's free. And it has everything you want for simple email marketing. And so email marketing strategies to help you convert your potential clients. And there are 2 strategies we're going to talk about today. The first is list segmentation, and the second is using an autoresponder. And so first we'll talk about list segmentation. Most marketing experts will tell you to build an email list, but what they don't tell you is that your list will not be as effective without proper segmentation. And so what is email list segmentation? And it is the process of breaking your subscribers into smaller groups based on specific criteria so that you can send them more personalized and relevant emails. And so rather than blasting every email to your entire list, segmentation lets you send certain emails only to those subscribers you think will be the most interested in that content. And that results in higher conversions. And so why should you segment your list? So segmenting your list is a proven way to increase your email open rates, boost your click-through rates, and decrease your unsubscribe rates. And that's why smart marketers use segmentation to drastically improve the effectiveness of their email campaigns. And so once you've tagged your subscribers into different segments, and that's going to depend on your ESP on how you exactly do that. But you'll be able to send really powerful autoresponders, which are a series of emails that get sent out automatically based on certain conditions that you can use to nurture your leads and make sales. And so we'll talk about autoresponders more in a minute. But segments make it so much easier to know what subject lines and messages to write that will entice the users to open and engage with your email campaigns. And the goal with segmentation should be to find out how did the user get on your email list in the first place. And so did they purchase something from you? Like, have they traveled with you before? Did they visit a specific page, or did they download a lead magnet? And so there are many ways that you can slice and dice your list segments. But to get you started, here are a few of the best ways. So you can do new subscribers, and you can send new subscribers a welcome email or a welcome series, which we'll talk about. You can segment them based on their preferences. So subscribers who want to hear about blog posts versus those who only want to, sales notifications or trip updates. You can segment based on interests, like subscribers who, like a certain type of travel over the other. So Disney or, local weekend getaways. You can do it based on location. So you can notify subscribers who live in a certain area, maybe about certain deals. You can do it based on open rate. So reward your more engaged subscribers with a specific offer that is just for them. You can segment them based on inactivity. So remind subscribers who haven't engaged in a while of the next step that you want to take with them. So maybe you want to remind them of who you are and how they got on your list. You can do it based on lead magnet. So send targeted emails based on the topic of the lead magnet that they opted in for. And you can also do it based on shopping cart abandonment. So you can remind subscribers, who put emails in their cart and they haven't checked out yet. And so for travel advisors, this could be people who maybe started to fill out your trip planning form, or who sent one in but hasn't replied in a while. And so these ideas just scratch the surface of what you can do with your email list segmentation. And it's really up to you how you want to go about it. And so the second strategy is to use an autoresponder to automate your email marketing. And so first, what is an autoresponder? An autoresponder is a sequence of emails that are automatically sent to a segment of people on your list and is triggered by a specific event, such as joining your list, a certain browsing behavior, cart abandonment, downloading a PDF, or buying a product. And so the content of an email autoresponder series is created in advance and set up to send at the appropriate time with the help of your email marketing software. And so every online business needs an autoresponder series for two main reasons. First, to nurture your leads. So that's by providing valuable information and insights, as well as teaching them how to make better decisions through an automated onboarding process. And number two, they turn prospects into customers by helping you build know, like, and trust before you ask for the sale. Then you make your pitch at the best possible moment, and you can do it without being overly salesy or pushy. And so we're going to go through how to create an effective autoresponder series. So there are 4 steps that we're going to cover. And one is to choose a goal for your autoresponder. The second is to map out your entire email sequence. Number 3 is to write an autoresponder series that converts. And number 4 is to monitor and improve. And so we'll go right into step number 1, which is to choose a goal for your autoresponder. And so there are many different goals you could have for your autoresponder, but here are the 4 most common. So you can choose one or a combination of the goals below for your series before you create it. So the first is to send new subscribers a welcome sequence. And this is the message that you send to people right after they subscribe to your list. It could contain a link to your lead magnet for an easy download. It could be a thank you for subscribing, or maybe a call to action to check out your most popular blog posts. And every email list needs a welcome series, so don't miss the chance to woo your new subscribers and turn them into loyal fans. So number 2 is to use it as a lead magnet or free mini course. So you can also use an autoresponder as a lead magnet to attract new subscribers to your email list. So this is commonly done in the form of a free mini course or a free challenge that you're probably familiar with online. And those promise to deliver a series of emails containing lessons or other valuable information over the course of several days or weeks. And there is a high perceived value with a mini course or a challenge like this, which makes it a very effective lead magnet. And number 3 is to make sales on autopilot. So creating a sales funnel out of an email autoresponder sequence is a widely adopted strategy used by information marketers, but it can also be used by really any business. For example, it could consist of a series of educational videos, a sales video, and follow-ups to show your information or to promote your services. And number 4 is to promote upsells or cross-sells. So you can even set up an autoresponder sequence for someone after they purchase something for you or from you. And so to get good repeat customers. And so this is great for people who have traveled with you before. So you can set up an email sequence on their return home to kind of nurture them without being pushy and, asking for another sale right when they've come back from vacation, but just to maintain the relationship and to stay prevalent in their minds for their future holidays. So the next step is to map out your entire email sequence. And so in this step, you will want to draft an outline. But first, you'll need to figure out how long you want this series to be. So how many days, how many emails. And there's no universal rule when it comes to exactly how many emails you need to have in your sequence. It just should be long enough to help you accomplish your goals. And so its length should be determined by its purpose, your segments, and your subscribers' preferences. And so you'll need to figure out, how far apart you want each email to be sent. And so it's okay to send an email once every 2 days for educational emails, or 3 to 4 emails in a single day when you're, doing a huge sale that's about to end. But it really depends entirely on the goal. So you need to find a healthy balance between your value emails and your offer, your sales emails. And so a good rule is the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your emails should give value, while only 20% of your emails are about making the sale. And so you should be writing an outline of your sequence from start to finish, describing what topics each email will cover and the call to action for each email. And on the screen here, we have an example of a sequence for launching a product. And as travel advisors, we might not all use this exact sequence, as our services don't, close. It's not like we're opening, a certain sale. But if you're having a group trip, or, you're running a special from a supplier, or you have another type of deal going on, this is a perfect example to kind of lead your subscribers through the sales process and to create a little bit of scarcity for the project or the product toward the end that might push people a little bit to book with you. Next is step 3, and that is to actually write an autoresponder series. And so writing the actual emails of your series might be the hardest part of this job. And depending on how much you do, you could even outsource this to a professional copywriter. But it's definitely something that you can do on your own. There's just a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. And so first, you need to focus on the reader. And you should always write your emails to address the needs of your subscribers and not yours. So offer ways to solve their problems and don't simply talk about your products and how great they are. So ask yourself, what are the base pain points for your subscribers and how can you solve the current problem in that email? The next is to use personalization. And personalizing the content of your emails will make it much more relevant and valuable to your readers. And the personalization goes beyond just sticking, your subscriber's first name into the top of the email. The whole thing really needs to be tailored to address their needs. The next is to write great subject lines. And there's a saying that 80 cents of your dollar should be spent on writing headlines. And so the same goes for emails and the subject line. If your subject line isn't catchy, your readers aren't going to open it. So you should spend the time really writing and polishing your subject line. And a great email subject line entices curiosity about the content of the email, and it's also personal and highly relevant to the recipient. And next, you should keep your copy concise. So when you write copy for mobile-friendly emails, it's crucial to keep it short and concise. So scannable content with consumable chunks like bulleted lists or short paragraphs make it a lot easier for people to digest your copy and to understand the action they should take with your message. Next is to have a clear call to action. So every email needs a call to action. It's an instruction that encourages, action. It could lead subscribers to your website, to your sales page, to a blog article, to your social sites, maybe to a supplier to see some of their specials. And when creating emails for busy on-the-go readers, you want to get to the point really quickly and tell them what to do up front. And so finally, you need to monitor and improve your emails. And so this is obviously something that happens kind of behind the scenes and after you already have your autoresponder series up and running. And so to get the best results, though, you need to monitor the performance of your emails to identify the areas that need improvement. So here are a couple of things that you can pay attention to when you're analyzing your campaigns, which are the open rates. So if your open rates aren't where you want them to be, consider, changing the list that you're sending the series to. Play around with the subject lines. Maybe they aren't catchy enough for your readers, or are you sending emails at the best time? You can look at your click-through rates. And so once your subscribers have opened your email, are they actually taking the time to take the action that you wanted? Are they clicking on the links that you are providing? And if your rates are really low, perhaps your body copy is not as effective as it needs to be. And so you should think about, is the copy relevant to the email subject line? Did you offer real value to your subscribers in the email? Maybe the call to action isn't clear enough. So there's a couple of things that you can play around with there. And finally, the unsubscribe rate. So unsubscribes are always going to happen no matter what. They just do. And that's okay, because people probably wouldn't have bought from you anyway if they're going to unsubscribe from your emails. But a high unsubscribe rate can indicate that you are losing potential customers. And so you should check, why did people subscribe to your list in the first place? And are you delivering on what you promise? Is the content of your autoresponder highly relevant to the segment it is actually being sent to? Maybe you're sending too many sales emails with too little value emails. So you can kind of play around again just to see if the content that you're sending out is of value to the people you want it to be of value to. And so as we reach the end of our presentation, I wanted to talk about one last way that you could make your blogging and marketing efforts easier. And so as I mentioned, I'm the editor-in-chief of the Peregrine Kinship travel blog. On our blog, we feature a collection of travel advisors who share their experiences both as travel advisors and as travelers. And it's a great way to market their business, create relationships with readers, and to showcase their expertise. And so one of the biggest, or the best aspects of the blog is that I basically take care of everything for them. So if you find yourself wanting to blog, to gain all of the benefits I've mentioned in this session and in our last summit, but you don't find yourself having the time to set up your blog or run it, maintain it, we have you covered. Not only do you retain all creative control over your content if you were to provide it to our site, but your work is shared by the other writers to their own social media followers or email subscribers, and so it's exponentially growing your audience as well as the audience of the other writers on our site. And I also implement the email capture techniques we talked about today to help you grow your own list. So if you find yourself unable to tackle all the things involved in blogging, come talk to me more about being part of Peregrine Kinship Travel Blog so we can, see how we can help you in your blogging and marketing efforts. Okay, so I feel like we covered so much today, and I'm sure it's a ton of information to digest. Hopefully it was really helpful and new information for many of you, and you can start to implement some of these tactics in your business today. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to come to our Facebook group and to ask them. I will be in there if I can't get to your questions now, to hopefully answer them in the coming days. But I had a really fun time, and it was really great talking about all of this stuff, and have fun in the rest of the summit.